Hey, what is going on, guys? Slick Joe here. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day as always, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about something that I just kind of recently realized is sort of a controversial topic among the zombies community right now, and that is the changes made to the perk system in Black Ops 4. Now, this is one of those things that I didn't really realize people were that upset about until I saw on Twitter that people were arguing with another zombies YouTuber by the name of JC Backfire on whether the changes were good or not. So after reading those comments, I thought I would just kind of come on here and make a video, just have a little bit of a discussion, a hopefully civil discussion on the changes made to the perk system in Black Ops 4 versus how it used to be in Black Ops 3 and previous games. So that is what we're going to be doing today. So if you do enjoy this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Also, make sure to hit that notification bell because if you don't, subscribing is basically useless anyway. But with that out of the way, let's jump into it. So yeah, like I said, this is kind of a controversial topic, so hopefully we can be civil about it and just have a kind of a heart-to-heart discussion on the changes made to the perk system in Black Ops 4 and if it was a good idea or not, if the changes make sense, if it made more sense to just leave it the way it was. That's what we're going to be talking about. So let's first start out with the Black Ops 3 perk system, and it's kind of encompasses all the games before that because the perk system was basically the same. So things about the BO3 perk system that everybody seems to remember, and the most popular thing about it were the perk machines and the perk jingles. They're very iconic. They all have very iconic designs, very iconic names, very iconic jingles to go along with each one, and these perks are just one of these staples of the zombies game mode. There is no doubt about that. I saw that brought up a lot on Twitter, and I definitely not denying that the perks from Black Ops 3 and the machines and the names and everything, like I mentioned, are definitely a very staple part to the Treyarch Zombies franchise. On top of that, nobody really ever complained about the perks, so it brings up the question, why do you think they would change it around? Well, in my opinion, there are a couple of different reasons and a couple of downsides to the way perks worked in Black Ops 3 and prior to that. And the first one is Quick Revive, Jug, Speed Cola, and Double Taps were 110% crutch perks. And if you don't know what a crutch perk is, it means it's a perk that you basically have to use or else you're going to be at a severe disadvantage. And there's just no doubt in my mind that these were crutch perks. You can argue it all you want and say that you didn't use these perks, they weren't your favorites, they weren't the best, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're wrong. Everybody used these. Quick Revive isn't as important unless you're on solo, then obviously it's still 100% important, but Jug, you had to run it unless you're doing a challenge that required you not to. Double Tap was also one that you were probably going to get unless you're an idiot. And Speed Cola is another one that, while maybe not 100% necessary, is very convenient. And by the way people are complaining that it's not in Black Ops 4, it definitely tells me that it was a crutch perk because everybody wants to use it. Now here's the thing about that. Everybody was complaining they removed all of these, but they didn't. They just added them as basic game features, which makes sense. If you have a perk that everybody is using 100% of the time, no matter what, that takes away all of the decision making that you would normally use and all the strategizing that you would normally use in a game and throws it out the window because you have to get those certain perks. So, by taking them in Black Ops 4 and adding them as basic games features, aside from Speed Cola, obviously, which hopefully they're going to fix, because I agree, we definitely need Speed Cola in the game as what hopefully will be a basic gameplay feature and not a perk. But as for the other three, with Quick Revive, you now automatically just get a few self-revives or a few free downs in solo, and that's just built into the game. I'm pretty sure you get 2 or 3 of them. 2 of them, I think. Double Tap you just get by pack-a-punching your gun over and over again. So you pack-a-punch it once, you get a pack-a-punch gun, obviously. Then you pack-a-punch it again, it adds 25% more damage, and so on and so forth until you get a total of 100% more damage than you had before, which essentially doubles the gun's damage like Double Tap. So that's where that one is. And then Juggernog, yes, we now just automatically get 200 points of health, 4 hits until you go down. So there's where the Juggernog is now, and that is why they got rid of them all and they just added them into the game. So that is one of the reasons I think this change was 100% necessary. And while I didn't really understand it at first when I first saw the change, after kind of listening to Blundell explain that, it made a lot of sense, and that is why I am now, for the most part, for the perk change. Now, the one last thing I want to touch on is the argument, well, you know, in Black Ops 4, they didn't really fix anything because there are still crutch perks that everybody uses every game. And to that, I would say you're right to a sense. I still believe that there are perks that are definitely better than others. I would say that Stamina Up and Quick Revive are kind of my go-to perks every time. But other than that, I've been tuning into a lot of live streams, watching a lot of videos, and it seems like everybody is using quite a wide variety of different perks. And I feel like a lot of the perks in the game have very specific uses. So there may be some perks that are, really good for just general use. They're good in every situation. But then there are some perks that are just really, really excel in certain situations like high rounds, or maybe specific Easter egg steps, or just specific things you want to do in your game. And that is why I think that the problem has been fixed to an extent. I know a lot of people too have been saying, well, the perks suck except for a few of them. And that's not exactly true, because maybe they suck in some situations, but most of the perks do have a use and a specific situation where they are going to excel above all the others. So yes, while there are some perks that are more popular than the others, for the most part, there's going to be a lot of variety, I feel like, and I've seen it in live streams and whatnot. And I've even seen it myself, obviously. I've been playing the game a lot, and I use a wide variety of different perks depending on the situations that I'm going to be in. Now, the next thing is I saw people saying, well, now you can't switch your perks mid-game because you have to select them in the created class beforehand. Whereas before, you had a certain number of perks on each map. You could kind of change them, I guess, as you wanted to, even though in order to change them, you had to go down. So you'd have to lose all of your perks by going into last stand. And if you're in co-op, that's not a big deal because you can be revived as many times as you want. But if you're a solo player, you only get a limited number of downs. So that is not a very good thing to do. And to add on to that, now that you have to choose your perks before the map, you have to kind of strategize more. It adds a little bit of strategy to the game because you have to think, what am I going to do in this game and what perks are going to benefit me the best to complete that task. If I'm doing the Easter egg, you got to think about what steps are in the Easter egg that each perk is going to help you out with. If you're doing high rounds, you got to think about which perks are best suited for high rounds. And there's just a lot of more choices to make, a lot more variety you can use, and a lot more strategy that goes into each game, which I think is just a great thing. And also, this makes it even better because now that each map isn't limited to the perks that were originally there, if they add new perks in the future, which I'm sure they will, you can go back and use them on the old maps, and that might change up the strategies a little bit. Because now you have to select your 4 perks, and they can be any perks, and they just go to the designated machines or statues on the map, and it doesn't limit you to the ones that are unique to that map. So before in Black Ops 3, some maps would have some perks. Maybe one of the perks wouldn't be included on another map, and you were just limited to the perks that were on that map rather than being able to switch them out as you please. Now you have a lot more variety because all of the perks can be used on all the maps, and like I said, if they add new ones, you can go back and you can probably use those on the older maps too. So overall, I just don't think the fact that having more than 4 perks on a map was that big of a deal, because in all reality, as long as you strategize right, now you have every perk on a map, essentially. Obviously, you can only pick 4 at a time, but they can be any of the perks that you want. Now, another change that they added to the perk system is the ability to have modifiers on the last perk in the setup that you choose. So if you don't know, I'm sure most of you do, but these are just kind of like a special ability that can be applied to one perk you put in the 4th slot, and it activates once you get all the other perks. And I think this adds another unique dynamic to the game and requires even more strategy and planning, because you got to think, which one has the best modifier, which one do I want to put there, and it just requires even more decision making and strategizing that I just think is great. I feel like zombies and survival modes as a whole are great with strategy, and I feel like this new perk system encourages a lot more variety and a lot more strategy to be put into your game every time you fire it up. Another thing I saw people complaining about is why they changed the name of some of the perks, like Electric Cherry to Electric Burst, and I think Deadshot Daiquiri was changed to something else, but I can't remember the exact name at the moment. But I don't really know. The only explanation I could come up with for why they changed the names was because Electric Cherry and Deadshot Daiquiri are kind of like flavors of drinks. And since in the Chaos story, they're not perk drinks anymore, they're like those statues that you absorb, I guess. They had to get rid of the drink name because it just doesn't really make sense in that story. So they changed it to Electric Burst and whatever the headshot one is for that reason, I'm guessing. Other than that, I really don't know why they would have changed the name, but that's the only reason I can think of, since they left Quick Revive and Stamina up the same. Now, with all those things, I feel like that is plenty of evidence as to why the perk system needed a change. And while I didn't originally think it did, because I just never really noticed it, that's how I thought. You just go into your game, you get Jug, you get Speed Cola, you get Double Tap, you get Quick Revive if you're on solo. That's just the way things are. and I just didn't think much of it. But after hearing it explained, seeing the new system, testing it out, playing with it for a while, I now completely understand why they did it. And I have to say, I'm definitely for the change, and there's nothing you're really going to do to change my mind. I haven't even seen a very valid argument as to why the change didn't make sense, aside from there being no speed cola, which I would assume that they are going to add. Enough people have been complaining about that, like I mentioned earlier, so I would assume they're going to add speed cola into the game some way or somehow. And if they don't, well, then we can all go crazy, riot, burn the place down, whatever you got to do to get them to listen and add it into the game. But honestly, other than that, I just really don't see a good reason or a valid argument as to why changing the perk system was a bad idea and it should have been left the way it was in Black Ops 3. People complain about nostalgia, saying, you know, you can't take away the perk machines and all that. It's an iconic part of Call of Duty Zombies. And, you know, while I agree they are iconic and a big part of Call of Duty Zombies, I think things have to change at some point. Change is good and is necessary. And we should have saw this coming because Blundell has been preaching that Black Ops 3 was putting the brackets around the storyline that we've seen so far. And we've been hearing all of this forget what you know for Black Ops 4. So it makes sense that they were going to make some big changes, and the perk system was one of them. The other argument where, you know, if it isn't broke, don't fix it, or, you know, we didn't ask for them to change it, is invalid too, because like I already mentioned, it was broke. Everybody used the same 4 perks in every game, or at least the same 3 perks. So obviously something had to change to get people to branch out and use more variety. So forget that argument. Same goes for if we didn't ask for the change. Well, yeah, that's how game development is. It's their job to make the games and to make things new, and sometimes they're going to make new changes and they're going to push new features that we didn't exactly ask for, but that isn't our job to think of the new things for each game. Sure, we can give some suggestions and talk about things we think should be fixed, but at the end of the day, they're making the game, they're thinking up the new ideas, they're the ones that have the job and not us. But that's just the way life goes, I guess. Sometimes you get things you didn't ask for, and sometimes they're great, and sometimes they're not so great. In this instance, I think it's a pretty good change, and I'm glad that they decided to do it, because like I said, I didn't really think about it. I didn't think we needed a change, but after we got it, and I thought about it for a while and realized why they did it, now I am for it 100%. And another thing Blundell always likes to say, you know, is sometimes the community doesn't know what we want. We think we want one thing, but it really takes them to go out on a leap to, you know, take a chance and dare to fail, make something new, and see if it works or it doesn't work. I think enough people have liked this to say that it does work, and I think that most of you, with time, with them continuing to update and fine-tune the game, adding new perks, you're going to come to accept the perk system, see that it was a good idea, and we're all going to be on the same page eventually. But overall, guys, yeah, it's not too hard to see my stance on this. As I've said many times throughout this video, I'm definitely for the change in perk machine, but I wasn't at first. It took a little critical thinking and some listening to what Blundell had to say about why they made the change, and I think some interviews by Johnny J25. But yeah, if you guys want to check those out, I'll try and find the interview and I'll link it down below so you can go over there and see what Blundell has to say about the perks changing, and maybe it'll help change your mind, because I think that's the first time that I really understood it and was okay with the change after hearing that and then playing with it for a while. But yeah, guys, that is my opinion on the matter. Definitely go down in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. If you're furious at me and you think that this is a ridiculous change and you think it should have been left the same way, go down there, give me your words, tell me what you want to say. I want to hear it straight to my face or to my internet face. And same goes for the other side. If you agree with me and you think the change was necessary, let me know. Tell me what you think, why you like it. If I missed anything that you wanted, that you think should have been mentioned as to why it was a good or bad idea, definitely let me know. Definitely would be open to reading one and maybe changing my mind if you can come up with something that makes a lot of sense. But that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I better be seeing you in the next one. Catch you later.